If an investment was made into US stocks recently, it could be swimming in a sea of red. Some days it might be up, but mostly the portfolio is still red. But if you look at my P&L chart right now, in the blue line over there, you realize that it's relatively unscathed. Question is why? Is there some luck involved? And the simple answer is I do not have US stocks in my stock trading portfolio right now. And instead, I have something else which I'll share with you in detail. Now I see memes from investors celebrating that Putin is helping to drive stock markets cheaper and they're going to profit big. But my suggestion is to not gloat about it because markets can get scary. Instead, stay unemotional. When markets go up, don't celebrate. When markets come down, don't panic. Today's video is to share with you to get ready for bad news. Today I'm upgrading the seriousness of this war. I think I linked this whole crisis a bit closer to the Crimea annexation, which is a short-term correction, more than the Gulf War, which was a full-blown bear market. But having looked at details a bit deeper, I'm leaning more towards it becoming closer to the Gulf War seriousness, or at least at that scale. But before I get there, let me show you what has driven some of the portfolio performance that I have. I've caught for attention towards commodities. If you have followed this channel, you do know that I've a key theme this year, which is commodities. I've been echoing it for months already. This is something from the members channel. And if you've seen a video I've done before on the top early pick for growth stock, you'll see that it's Malaysia Smelting Corporation Berhad. Almost nobody has heard of this stock or covered this stock on YouTube. Because if you look in terms of commodity super cycle back in 2009, 2010, there was also a period after massive amounts of money was printed by Fed. Similarly, this time round we've seen Fed print a lot of money from COVID-19's crisis in 2020. And commodities are always a late beneficiary to any inflation pressure. And everything looks to be playing out exactly the same again. And with this war looming big, I think there are even stronger tailwinds for commodities and energy sector. Imagine this, if oil gets squeezed to $150 per barrel, many oil players will see outsized returns, correct? Something like what happened in the glove industry back in 2020. At that point of time, I've also caught before bear after the glove industry got into a bubble. But at the start, things can get squeezed. What about palm oil? Palm oil has close proxy to oil prices. And today, part of this video, I would like to show you some names, some small cap names in Singapore that could be ideas that you look a bit closer, especially if you are familiar with the sector. This is Malaysia Smelting Corporation Berhad. They have tin mining. I like tin mining. They have a use in a technology cycle. But more importantly, other four names include Bumitama Agri, Golden Agri. These are two small cap palm oil players. This list is not exhaustive. There's of course First Resources, there's Indo Agri, there's Wilmar, which is a big cap, but Wilmar is doing more in terms of upstream crushing and stuff, not too much in plantations. What about bottom two, Rex International and RH Petrogas? These are two oil players. I don't know too much about the oil upstream and downstream. To explain a bit further, if you understand the industry, deep dive a bit more. The only one that I have a little bit more knowledge as of right now is Malaysia Smelting Corporation Berhad. Something I've covered before and something that I've seen in terms of earnings growth and price earnings expansion. Pretty much everybody in commodity cycle is showing that. And if you want to find a bit better on how to invest properly, check out my investment course with the links below. That's actually how I've identified gems to get invested. And Malaysia Smelting Corporation Berhad now is close to a one bagger, where most that have bought US hot tech names have suffered big declines. My key message today for you is this. There could be a place for commodities in your portfolio, a small percentage at least. The key worry is what if oil prices, commodities get squeezed because we have war, we have disruption to supply chains. Things can get bid up very quickly. Do you remember when masks were in short supply? People overpaying for masks, right? The same logic. When masks were in short supply, when COVID-19 first struck, everybody was paying top dollar just to get a piece of a mask. Same, oil price could get squeezed. That's why buying a fund that can give you a whole basket like this, and if you look at names there, you can identify something that Warren Buffett has bought before, Chevron. And with a basket, you diversify, but you get exposure to that sector. That's what I wanted to bring across in today's discussion. Another key objective of today's video is to share with you a follow-up to my previous video, which mainly focused on examining past crises and to tell you not to sell. In fact, to look at things to buy. Today's video, I'll elaborate on two key further parts. The first is to encourage you to think of the worst case scenario right now already. Because bad news is like COVID, like flu. The more you get exposed to it, the more you're immune to it when they really come about. Think about what if Russia really takes down Kyiv with brute force. Thousands of lives are lost. When media shows that to you, are you ready to see it? Especially when the stock market also tanks to show you there is big crisis. Maybe it's not that serious. What if Russia at least divides up Ukraine permanently and this war wages on for months? Are you ready for such bad news? Because if you look in terms of Gulf War, it lasted for 6 months at least. Russia, again, is not Iraq. Russia, if you see their military might, they are among the top in terms of power and in terms of size. If Putin wants to fight this war, they can fight. And it seems from many sources that I read about that China is not against it totally. They possibly are an ally. And things could get worse from what you imagine as of right now. The second thing from this video that I encourage you to think about is where is good value. Whether it's commodities or not, you decide for yourself whether you're comfortable with that cyclical sector. And my suggestion above. But to start things with, look at this chart over here. Warren Buffett versus Cathie Wood. You realize that good value or good approach stands the test of time. When you buy good value, your performance automatically reflects that in the long term. And when everybody is shouting Palantir, Sea Limited, Tesla, Facebook, aren't you consider deeper on value? Because good value is actually not that far away. Look around in Singapore. Back in November 2020, I put my neck out to say that STI could be undervalued when I had this video, why STI could recover in 2021 when it was Asia's worst equity performer then. Indeed, bank stocks have rallied. DBS has almost doubled already. And from an earnings perspective, I'd like to end things with this very interesting point of view. I believe STI will outperform Nasdaq in the coming quarters ahead. Both might trend down, I don't know. But good earnings value as of right now is attractive. And that's why in the subsequent weeks ahead, I'll be sharing a bit more in terms of banks and REITs. I've pushed back those videos to share this message with you. And especially market tanks, these are places whereby you don't need deep understanding. You can actually get yourself invested very simply and profit when everything starts to look better again. So hopefully this message has helped you. Smash your subscribe so that once those tutorials are released, you get notified of it. And smash on like so that we can reach a bigger audience together with this important message. Again, the key part is think of the worst case scenario that can be shown on news right now so you are prepared. Second is think where is good value and look for good value, especially when markets are tough. And once they present themselves, take action, start buying and you'll benefit. With that, I'll sign off from this video and I'll see you next one. Take care and goodbye.